Welcome to the Sleazy Podcast, the podcast about anything and everything, but mostly TV and movies. And now it's time to get sleazy.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is episode 197 of the world-renowned Sleazy Podcast. I'm your host, Sleazy, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. PBS.
Howdy.
We need like a PBS news chime for you or something. You know, I mean, it just doesn't seem fair.
You like an old school, like synth intro.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, we've got the pit bull, Wubbyzilla.
Hello.
Word up.
Word up.
Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
How about yours?
Mine was pretty chill.
It's always good.
Just went to my mom's house. She cooked a nice dinner, wonderful dinner, and watched a lot of football.
Can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't. You can't go wrong with it. What did you do, Mr. PBS?
I went to work.
We had this debate, like, is he going to go to his mom's or is he going to avoid it at all costs?
No, they went to the other part of the families for Thanksgiving.
That you're not welcome to.
I'm welcome. I just usually work.
Choose not to.
So how late did you work? Like that?
I like
where you couldn't go and enjoy your family.
2:00.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Then it was nap time.
If he doesn't, if he's got work, he don't want nothing to do with anybody.
I don't blame him.
It's like if you had kids, you'd be in a world of
Oh
hurt.
my god! I don't know how people do it. I don't.
Would you be like an alcoholic at that point?
Like I love kids, but I love that they go home with somebody else at the end of the night.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Especially when they start freaking out at the end. Like, okay, they got to go.
It's a nonstop, continuation of running and spending money. That's for sure.
Right. You think of, I'm sure we all did it at least once when we were younger, but there's some project you got to do the next day. You don't tell your parents about it till like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
I just think, Jesus Christ.
I remember I did that one time. My mom was going through like my folder or something. She's like, "You have a project due tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You got to pick an animal?" I was like, "Yeah." And at that time it was encyclopedias.
Right.
Yeah. We had a disc for AOL and she like fired it in, did the free trial. We're like looking up information. She's pretty much like, write this and this down, because she didn't want me to fail. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I was not a good student.
You remember what animal you chose?
A jaguar.
Nice.
Jaguar.
Very fitting, isn't it?
Yes, very fitting.
I'm pretty sure I once put together a science project in one night, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got science for us tomorrow. Can I throw something together in 2 hours?
So
you could do it.
So how much liquor did you have yesterday, Rob?
That's the thing. I didn't have nearly as much I usually have, but it's just I didn't eat none all day, and then they just shoved it down my throat, and then I just got fucked up, and then I ate food, and I was feeling a little bit better. But they love their Hennessy.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
Was that?
The dogs.
Nothing like that went down.
No,
Okay.
nothing like that.
Rob does not have Haitian relatives.
Right.
Yeah, not that they're eating the dogs. Right?
They're eating the dogs.
They're eating the dogs. Oh, so I figured, by the way, before we start, has anybody gotten any Black Friday deals?
No, I haven't really looked.
They're not really that great this year.
I'm very much like, I think Amazon workers are on strike, so you're not supposed to buy anything from Amazon this weekend. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can deal with it. I can deal with it.
I did buy a new Fire Stick. Our Fire Stick in the living room is shot.
Well, you had to do that, or else your dad would be like down here right now, like Sleazy.
What the hell's going on?
Why isn't this fucking working?
Bullshit.
Yeah, some like physical media companies and stuff are having their Black Friday sales, and I'm just kind of looking at them like, I don't know if I want to spend the money on that.
I saw somewhere Barnes and Nobles has like 50% off Criterions.
Yeah, it's the usual Criterion sale going on right now. Pretty caught up. There might be a few I get on there, but
they actually Voodoo, Fandango at home, they've got a good sale going on.
Yeah, I saw that. I keep getting the app notifications for that. They've got sales going on.
Lots of $5 movies, and then they've got like newer releases for like 16. I'm thinking about buying that Blink Twice after we get off and watching that. I hear that's got a great ending. So,
that's Channing Tatum, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Mr. Wikipedia.
Trying.
Channing Tatum, born in 1975. I don't know if he was born in that, but I just figured it'd be information that you might know. You know,
I don't know that much.
Rank,
I know
rank,
he's, I know
rank
he's
the
getting
run
married,
times
though.
of Magic Mike right now, Rob. Do it.
what was the exact time that Channing Tatum strips in the first Magic Mike movie?
Couldn't tell you.
You fucking liar.
No, I haven't seen none of them. I've seen like clips from like on TikTok, but
Robzilla, I know for a fact that your phone lock screen is Channing Tatum with his abs out.
it might be, but it's not from Magic Mike, asshole.
No, Rob's got it as the scene from This Is the End, where Danny McBride's got him down like as a dog.
Yeah.
And he's got his head photoshopped on him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a name for myself.
That's a great scene too.
So yeah, I haven't found any good other than the movies, and I did buy a pair of Beats by Dre earbuds, the you know, kind of go over your ear,
Hook over,
dude, because my Samsung buds, they just fall out, dude. Anytime you're doing anything active, it's like slip right out of it. I'm tired of it.
I don't blame you.
I just kind of look around the house and I'm like, yeah, I don't need anything.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's kind of how it is. I feel like I've got everything I want for the most part.
Like how many couches can you get? How many TVs can you get?
Right.
I mean,
And that's everything. Everybody's making this big push. Like, how about we start putting the food on sale for Black Friday?
Yeah.
Right.
You know? Like we've all got big screen TVs now.
yeah, like they're.
I mean, they're pretty common now.
You know, there was a time when I'd be like, you know, you can see yours right over here. There's a time where you wouldn't like maybe tell people you had like a big screen TV anymore. It's like, yeah, I got a big screen TV. Like, it'd probably be easier to just go buy one than break into my house and steal mine at this point.
and then if somebody doesn't have one, you're like, you must be weird. Like, what's the problem?
Right.
Oh, I watch it on my iPad.
Like,
That's all I
okay.
do. My phone or my iPad. Okay, whatever.
It's not the
Weirdo. These people are weird. I figured we could open the show up with this Barstool Sports article. I was furious over this article. It's an opinion piece, obviously.
Opinion piece. that's one thing to call it.
Yeah. Power ranking the greatest racks of the 1990s. Here we go. And of course, well, like, why is Dolly Parton even?
Well, I mean, she's got the rack.
But is she
like,
from the 90s? She's from like the 70s
Yeah.
and 80s. And
Dolly is like the force. She's just always around us.
yeah, I mean, I'm not denying the phenomenal rack that Dolly Parton has, but
Did you see?
she's not a star of the 90s.
There's the clip of her on like the David Letterman doing the Letterman top 10 thing, and I think it's like top 10 things you don't know about Dolly Parton or whatever. And number one's like, I've got a great ass too.
It's true. Okay, so at number 10, this guy's got Carmen Electra. Fair. I put Carmen Electra as one of the greatest racks of the 90s.
She was a good-looking woman in the 90s.
Yeah. She posed for Playboy in the 90s. She was on fire there for a while.
Had her cameo in Scream
Yep.
1 or 2 or whatever.
Scary movie.
Scary movie.
I mean,
Yeah,
first one.
scary movie. She mocks the Drew Barrymore
Yeah.
character.
She gets stabbed in the chest and then pulls out her
Yeah.
implant.
By the way, I'm excited that the Wayne brothers are getting
Coming
another
back,
crack
yeah.
at Scary
Yeah.
Movie. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
She had her, what was the like MTV Spring Break, and she had her Dave Navarro show. So she
Yeah.
was
She's
big in
married
the
to Dennis
90s.
Rodman too for a while.
Yep.
That was a big thing
Yeah,
too.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, Anna Nicole Smith is coming in at number 9. Fair. I'll give him that. That's a fair, phenomenal rack. She was a great star of the 90s with her Playboy spread. And obviously her marrying that super old dude.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
He obviously thought it was a nice rack.
Yeah.
That's what killed him.
Hey, and people bitched about that, and it's like, if this guy doesn't have any family, just let him be happy.
Yeah, at this point,
Let him have his face in them titties and let him go
he's
peacefully.
like 85 or something. He was in a wheelchair. Wasn't
He was like
He was old.
very geriatric.
He was old physically as well as
he was like the
numerically.
old man from like Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like.
He
Yeah.
was trying to do some low pan stuff.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Look at that. I mean, that's an iconic picture of her
Yeah.
mimicking
Just like Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for like if she's in it for the money and he's in it because she's hot, as long as they both know
As
what
long
they're
as
in it
it's
for.
consensual. That's
Yeah,
all that
they're two
matters.
consenting adults. Who
Yeah.
cares? Number 8, Jennifer Love Hewitt. I was kind of surprised that she was this low on this top 10 list.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're like, you think of big boobs from the 90s, you're like Jennifer Love Hewitt, like I Can't Hardly Wait. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, she was in all kinds of movies back then. But that's a great picture of her too.
Yeah.
Wonder how old she is there. That's
Doesn't matter.
No,
Doesn't matter.
She's 45 now.
Really?
oh yeah. Who is she? She's not married to anybody, is she?
I don't.
Or she's
believe
married.
so.
She's not married to anybody famous.
I think
guess what
that.
mean.
Yeah, Sean is not really famous.
Okay, number
Brian
7.
Halasay is an American actor known for his roles as Will Davis in the CW drama Privileged and Kyle Parks in the Lifetime drama series The Client List.
Yeah, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
All right, coming in at number 7 on this dude's list is Demi Moore. Fair pick once again.
Yeah.
I might have had her in my top 10 list.
I don't know, but she was never really known as a rack actress. I don't know if you want to, whatever you want to call it.
Well,
obviously she came. Striptease was kind of a little bit of a comeback for her, and she was known because she got
Striptease was kind of like her revival. But yeah, you're right. She was never like a rack actress.
She's not. She is certainly an attractive woman.
Oh yeah,
she's not super duper known. I wouldn't say for.
She's still got a phenomenal rack, as we know from The Substance too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I mean, she was never. I mean, she's kind of showing them off there, but. Yeah. Heather Graham at number 6. Heather Graham's got to be in the top 10 for the 90s.
She was a good looking woman.
Yes.
She's a terrible actress now.
Yes.
Have you guys seen that one horror movie that she put out last year?
Was it something the skin or?
Yeah.
No, I've been wanting to watch it.
It's like a Skinamax porn.
Really?
Yeah. It's so bad, dude. I mean, you'll enjoy it because it's so bad.
Of course, yeah.
Number 5, Tyra Banks. I mean, I guess you kind of got to throw Tyra in there. I mean, swimsuit. Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. I mean, she was one of the hotties back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek might be like my number 1.
Yeah.
90s be damned.
Yeah.
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 What's the like the WWE motto, like then, now, forever?
Yeah.
That's Salma there.
Yeah. Salma Hayek's titties need that logo then, now, and forever.
And that all started from the dusk till dawn.
She's just a fine woman, top to bottom.
I mean, look at that. And it's like she gets like
she's like a fine wine.
Yeah, she just ages great, man. She still looks great.
I think she's like almost like 60 years.
Oh yeah, she's gotta be.
Dude. And like she's like in a bikini on like a boat.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they're not even showing her best picture of the 90s.
No,
I mean,
no.
I still remember watching Desperado.
Oh yeah.
When that sex scene comes, and I was like, I think I was like 9 or 10. I was like, oh my God. Look at those things.
Am I a man now?
Yeah. Like if you ever need like a test to figure out if you are attracted to men or women, just look at Salma Hayek nude. And if it's not doing anything for you, then.
And that's a perfect movie because you get Salma Hayek and then Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
There you go. You get the pick.
Whichever one turns you on
Yeah,
kind of
most,
guide you to your sexuality.
Just start with that movie and it's going to solve all your problems. You have questions.
So, son, what do you think about this one? Are you more of a
Antonio Banderas was hot?
I figured you'd say that.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. But I think that's a modern day picture right there.
It's got to be relatively.
Yeah, because her boobies are bigger, you know. Halle Berry, Halle Berry's hot. I mean, she was definitely one of the hottest chicks. I don't know if I'd put her in this list though. If I did, she'd be towards the end.
Well, I think is with what was it? The movie Swordfish. She's topless, and then Monsters Ball.
Yeah,
I can't remember how much she got paid to go topless in Swordfish. I thought it was like
Monster Ball. Is that the one with Billy Bob Thornton? Because that's where they had the sex scene. I mean, if they showed penetration, you would.
Me and my buddy in high school, we kept mocking it. Yeah, make me feel good. Make me feel good. Dude, we would do that in like science class, and it's just hilarious, man.
Billy Bob is forever the
what
legend.
What do you want me to do?
Okay, coming in at number 2 is Pamela Anderson on this dude's list.
I mean, it's iconic.
I mean, she cleaned up in the 90s, dude.
Yeah.
She was on Baywatch. She was noticed for her rack and her beautiful body, obviously. And then who could forget the sex tape?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, look at that picture of her and Kid Rock.
Hillbilly.
She's got a big thing now about, attending events without makeup on. It's like, nobody cares if you have makeup.
We don't care anymore.
She's got a movie coming out called like The Last Showgirl or something.
Yeah.
Looks like The Wrestler, but for showgirls. Kind of curious.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, look at that picture. She was dynamite back then.
Yeah.
Okay, number 1 on this dude's list is Denise Richards
I like to know what he's smoking.
Yeah, number one. This is like this dude just essentially listed off his crushes. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not.
That's if you just say that's fair, but
yeah,
come on.
I got a bone to pick with this guy though. So I'm gonna put us back up here on the screen.
No Jenny McCarthy.
No Jenny McCarthy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
How do
I
you-
love Jenny McCarthy when I was a kid.
How do you have a top 10 list of the greatest racks of the 90s and you don't even have Jenny McCarthy in there?
Yeah.
Like Jenny McCarthy, she was like the chick back in the 90s
She
too.
was. Yeah. I love because she was like, was it the Dating Game or something like that? Or
Yeah.
Singled Out.
Yeah, singled out.
I was like, oh, I'm
Well, I mean,
on the show.
She posed for Playboy.
Yeah.
I mean, that catapulted her to a
Uh-huh.
lot of success there.
I looked up I Googled and ended up with a Reddit for like the most beautiful actresses from the 90s. So I'll just throw a few of these out here. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Attractive. I don't know if she was known as the power rack.
She had a great body, not a power rack.
Well,
though.
was it Mask of Zorro? She was stunning. in
Oh,
that
yeah,
one.
she's good.
She was
Good
good. In that
looking.
one. Yeah.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh, dude, she was.
yeah.
I don't know
good.
how Hugh Grant.
Have
messed
you
that up.
seen Elizabeth Hurley lately?
No.
I don't think so.
She owns like a swimsuit company,
Uh-huh.
but her Instagram is just her in swimsuits every day, and she hasn't missed a step.
What was the movie?
I mean-
I think was it Bedazzled with
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, she
She's
was
in
smoking.
that outfit. Yeah.
Austin Powers too. I
Mhm.
mean,
My God.
About Jennifer Connelly. I don't know if she'd ever be like good looking woman, but I don't know if she'd ever be like in the power rankings. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, she's attractive, but I don't know about like power rankings.
Oh man, look at this. This picture right here. Hold on. Open link in new tab. You'll see this and be like, how does this dude not have? Look at that. That 90s picture right there.
Carmen and Jenny.
Yeah, come on. Carmen, she got her start on Singled Out too, didn't she?
I think it was her
Something
and then
like
Jenny.
that.
I think, or it might be.
I think it was
reversed.
Jenny, then
Yeah,
her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, how do you have this list and you don't have Jenny McCarthy in it?
Right.
Christina Applegate.
Yeah,
She
not a power rack though.
was- Yeah.
She was good looking. She was
Is there a ranker list?
There has to be a ranker list.
Ranker best boobs of the 90s. You know, and if we're talking about sexiest, I mean, you got to go Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mask.
her in the mask. Yeah.
Jesus, dude.
165 plus of the most stunning women of the 90s. This should be a fun read here. Number one, see, what are we talking about here?
I like this list already.
Denise Richards she's not even in the top 5.
No.
This dude is just, plainly putting his crushes out there. I think his name was Carl at Barstool Sports.
Well, you suck, Carl.
Yeah.
She beautiful? Yeah.
Elizabeth Hurley's number 2 on this
That's
list.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally fair. I'm going to up her.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston. But I mean, I guess we're off the subject of like greatest racks to most beautiful women now.
She was. I mean, she's not bad looking or anything, but she's definitely the girl next door, good looking type.
Jennifer Connelly. Forget about Jennifer Connelly, but I would say she's more of like the mid to late 80s.
She's she's never been like a huge actress or anything. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Okay. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah, that's totally fair. Didn't she marry Michael Douglas?
Mhm.
What a pimp, dude.
I know, right?
Jennifer Love Hewitt. Yeah, she
Yeah.
needs to be up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Look, great picture there. She's older, still got the phenomenal rack.
Still gorgeous.
How do you forget about Monica Bellucci too?
Mhm.
I mean, she spans across how many decades now and still looks phenomenal?
Then she had to spoil it and get with Tim Burton.
Tim Burton's like my hero.
It
And I'm not like the biggest Tim Burton fan ever, but
makes you think like, how did he get that?
Shania Twain.
She's attractive.
Yeah. Halle Berry. See, this
Yeah.
one seems to be the people have spoken on this one.
Not you, Carl.
Yep. Penelope Cruz. She was all right. She had her
There's
one
like
movie.
some scene she's in with it's her and Salma Hayek with some guy. I'm like, lucky man. I don't even know what it was. I just saw a clip of it like years ago.
Oh, didn't Adam Sandler do like Spanglish with them?
I think so.
where he was married
Something
to
like that.
he was
Yeah.
married to Selma Hayek, and then
Yeah.
she was like the nanny that couldn't speak English or
Well, then
something.
he was at I think Grown Ups. She was his wife as well in Grown Ups.
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer is still
Yeah.
banging. Isn't she in like her 70s too?
I don't know if she's that old, but she's
She's got to be
gotta
at least in the 60s at least.
I mean, let's face it. No one here is saying no to Michelle Pfeiffer if she's over.
It doesn't matter. 70 doesn't matter.
Denise Richards. See, this is about where Denise Richards should be.
Yeah.
Even though, like her in Starship Troopers, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei.
Tomei.
Totally forgot about me. She was gorgeous. She needs to be up there
Dude,
too.
Yeah. Was it My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally pulling a Carl here and putting my crush
Just
above everything.
so damn cute.
Oh yeah, Charlize Theron, man. Charlize Theron's still banging.
Yeah, she is.
Faith Hill. I forgot about Faith Hill. You forget about like the
Certain ones.
singers and
Yeah.
stuff.
Michelle Pfeiffer is 66.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy Crawford. She was
Definitely
hot
definitely
back
big
then.
in the
Back then,
90s.
yeah, she's really big.
Yeah, I'll up her. Kathy Ireland. I remember her.
Mm,
She used to sell a bunch of shit on infomercials, right?
Yeah.
Christina Applegate. Yeah, I mean,
That's
she
her.
in the 80s,
Married
she
to
was
Jill.
yeah. She was the hot older sister.
Mhm.
Sandra Bullock, America's sweetheart.
Oh, Sandy.
I mean, you got to put Sandy up there.
Yeah.
She's like Jennifer Aniston for me.
How's Alicia Silverstone so low on this as far as like beautiful women of the 90s? She's
Yeah.
like in my top 10. Look at that. She still looks good too, by the way.
I mean, how you gonna forget about Batman Forever?
Demi Moore is low on this too, man. No love for
It's a weird
Demi.
picture. Doesn't quite look like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacey Dash. She was a babe back then.
Yeah. I love me Stacey Dash back in the day.
Tiffany Thiessen.
Tiffany
Yes.
Amber Thiessen.
Yeah.
Kelly Kapowski.
Pow.
Ellie McPherson.
L.
Is L?
Yeah, just L.
Just L? I don't even know who that is.
Is she an actress?
I guess.
It
Or
sounds
I think she was kind
familiar.
of like a model turned actress.
Australian model, actress, and businesswoman who
Yeah,
rose to
okay.
prominence in the 1980s. Her striking beauty and impressive stature earned her the nickname The Body from Time Magazine. Yeah, who cares? Heidi Klum. Yeah, Heidi Klum was hot. She's still
Love
hot.
Heidi Klum back in the day.
Diane Lane. She was good.
Diane Lane.
You like that old
Oh, yeah.
old fashioned lady.
Well, I mean,
Can you give
what
me
was it?
some 80s, 90s Diane
Well, I
Lane?
mean, Outsiders.
Shannon Elizabeth. I mean,
Dude.
that's a phenomenal rack there. But I think she's more, well, I guess she's right at the tail end there. American Pie was 99.
Yeah, 98, 99. Yeah.
So
Man, what a time to be alive in those days.
I think she has to cement herself as like one of the greatest 90s racks, just barely making it in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Carmen, look how low Carmen Electra is on this list.
She should be higher, in my opinion.
Alyssa Milano, forgot about her. Kim Basinger. I think she's more, well, she was very popular in the 90s, but
Yeah.
when I think of her, I think of Batman
Yeah.
in the 80s,
She had her time there.
Britney Spears. Yeah, you got to have Britney in there.
It's Britney, bitch.
Rachel Weisz. Jessica Simpson.
Back in the day, yeah.
She did have a phenomenal rack back then. I haven't seen an up-to-date picture over here
I
lately.
haven't seen her at all.
Elizabeth Shue. Oh, yeah.
Friday Kid. I love my Elizabeth.
Well, when she came back that one season, she was phenomenal looking too.
Here we go again. Angelina Jolie. Phenomenal rack back in the day.
She was just in the 80s and 90s, just so hot.
Oh, that
Yeah.
Tomb Raider movie. I think they kind of they gave her a little bit of
I'm sure
size.
I think they boost her up a little
Yeah,
bit.
to kind of fit the video game
Yeah.
big titties,
Yeah.
But she was, I mean, look at that. She was gorgeous, dude.
I watched that too long ago, and Daniel Craig's in that movie.
Oh yeah.
I completely forget about that.
Yeah, he's like
He's like one of her.
he's like a love interest, but he's works for the bad guys too.
Yeah, he's kind of like what she is. He's like a Tomb Raider, basically.
Daniel Craig, man, he had some good roles back in the day.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, Stacy Keebler's next on the list.
Dude.
Oh, she had those legs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Stacey
I think it was like
Keebler's
WCW.
fine.
She's on like Mrs. Hancock or something. There's some bullshit name.
Courtney Cox. And then it starts to get a little. Heather Graham is 39 on this list. Cameron Diaz is 4. See, this list is, I got to move her up.
Moving up. Moving on up.
Moving on up. Okay, so I guess we'll get into really, it's our second segment now, but we're going to talk about the documentary called Bad Faith. You can watch this on Peacock, Tubi, and I think Amazon Prime as well.
Yeah, it's on a handful of places.
But we're going to get political again this week. Why not? Who cares? I don't care. Do you guys
It
care?
doesn't matter.
No. Listen, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I'm just raising awareness of a very serious issue we've got going on.
We just want you to be informed. That's all it is.
Okay, so Bad Faith. On January 6, 2021, Americans witnessed an attack on the U.S. Capitol without precedent in our history. Armed militiamen and QAnon followers made headlines, but among them were a sea of crosses and Christian flags, rosaries, and Jesus Saves signs. What motivated so many Christians to participate in this violent assault? Spoiler alert. It's kind of not Donald Trump, but it is,
Yeah.
What do you say? I thought this was a very informative documentary. I don't think a lot of people know that this shit is going on. They just think churches are churches. There isn't an organization that's out to get that's this well organized and infiltrated in American politics. But
it's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, really since 76, 79?
Yeah, since I think Reagan, or even a little bit before Reagan.
But the one thing that really had me taken aback, is Christian nationalism is founded in racism.
Yeah.
And you find this out, and they do a really good job of taking you to the beginning and step by step getting you, to today's events. And man, what a wide, an eye-opening documentary. I was amazed after I watched this.
Yeah.
And, we talk so much crap about Christian nationalism privately. And, we've mentioned, the crazy religious people on here before. But man, these people, they don't care about the Constitution. They absolutely want nothing to do with it. Their idea is to seize power and to rewrite another form of doctrine that, essentially governs by the Bible.
Right.
And this is some scary stuff when you start to think about it and you realize the goals that these people have. And it's ridiculous, dude. It's eye-opening. Definitely.
And I didn't know how, like you said, how far it goes back, and like the teachings and what they've been going through, and basically plotting and what they want to do. It's terrifying.
And it's funny when you think of Christian nationalism, what's the first topic that you always think of? It's abortion.
Waiting for Rob to say tariffs.
Yeah. No, he's not going to complain about tariffs right now.
No. That's private.
Everybody thinks they associate Christian nationalism with abortion because that's the main.
A lot of conservatism in general.
Yeah,
that's the main focus of what their point is.
But it's not when Christian nationalism really started to pick up steam and they started to get organized. It was all over race.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget when did
well, it was really over money.
Yeah.
As these things always tend to be out. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people tend to think of abortion as sort of like the big central issue. And maybe it is now. But the idea was that a lot of these conservative, whether they were religious people, like pastors and that kind of thing, or business people, they owned schools.
Oh yeah.
And whenever they I think it was the early 60s, late 50s, I think it was the middle 50s, Brown versus Board of Education came along and said, you have to desegregate your school. You can't segregate schools and get money from the government and be tax exempt.
Yeah.
And all these religious institutions wanted to not do that and wanted to stay their nice whites only selves.
Oh yeah. And
that's when they really kind of got motivated. And
what's the main campus down there in Jim Bob or something like that?
Well, there was
it's a college.
There's Falwell had Liberty University, and there was the Oral Roberts and a couple of the other ones.
Well, didn't they say that, if you're not going to desegregate that, well, you're going to lose your tax exemption?
Yeah,
They're
that's essentially what it was.
They want that money.
Yeah, they want that money, right?
Kind of like, with the Scientologists, they were like, we need to be recognized.
Yeah. And then it wasn't, as they always point out, it wasn't until like the 70s, to like the later 70s. Roe v. Wade was in the early 70s. And it wasn't until later in the 70s that they picked up abortion as the issue to sort of get people around.
And that's because they knew they couldn't get away with the segregation.
Right, right. You tell people, it's like, oh, you need to side with us because, we don't want Black people to have an education. Eventually, people are going to be like, oh, well, I don't like that. Black people should be able to have an education.
Yeah.
They had to find a commonality to infiltrate the GOP and the Republicans. And they realized quickly when they went through the whole segregation thing and they were like, we can't have an all white school anymore. We're not going to be able to, influence these people with our money and ideology. So we've got to latch on to something we have in common. And it just happened to be abortion. And they figured out abortion really elicited feelings from that side. And, let's face it, it does garner some attention from independent voters, and
it's a thorny issue for sure.
It really is. It's a 50-50 issue when you come down to it. And they really got behind it. And from there, they got organized and they started raising millions to billions of dollars. And then you have the rise of these mega pastures, and let's face it, these folks have the biggest money laundering scandal that you've ever seen in your lifetime, and it's all hidden behind religion. They're essentially getting away with this because of religion, because our government, acknowledges that they are tax exempt, and we acknowledge religion. But they flat out, you watch this documentary and you listen to these people talk, they flat out believe that this country was founded on Christian.
It's always Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, Judeo-Christian values.
And I think Andrew's side, I don't know if did you watch the God and Country one?
Yes, I did.
That's also worth checking out. They do repeat some information, but it does have some different things and different people in it.
It's funny, they use some of the same interviews that's in Bad Faith.
And they point out in there how I lost my train of thought there. I don't know where it went. It flew off.
Okay,
well, where were we going?
We were talking about Bad Faith, obviously, and then you went into
God and Country.
What were we specifically talking
about? That they think the country's founded off of.
Yeah, well, as one of the, I think it was Andrew Seidel, he said when they say Judeo-Christian, the Judeo's doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah,
because these people, don't really have anything to do with Jews or anything. It's all about their concept of Christianity and the government. And they put the Judeo-Christian in there because it makes it sound a little better.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I wish more people would have had the opportunity to watch this before the election. I think a lot of minds might have been changed because, like, I keep driving this point home that this is some scary stuff.
Yeah.
And they are out to destroy the Constitution. They want to march right into Washington and rip that fucking paper up.
Yep.
And then they want to set a Bible.
Well, they want to interpret it the way that they want it interpreted.
No, they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of it. And you know what? That you have some of them that acknowledge the First Amendment, but then
everything else,
they show you the clips of the Lauren Boeberts and the MGTs of the world.
I'm so tired of
it doesn't say that in the stinking Constitution. And I love it. As soon as they do that, they clip the Constitution right on there. And
here you go.
It clearly states in there that, the United States government shall make no law that recognizes religion in that
form.
The
Establishment clause.
Yeah. And these people, man, they're just, I feel like a large percentage of them, they've got these people hooked on the topics that they're passionate about, abortion and stuff. And they want to govern by the Bible.
Well, the God and Country documentary, I think, does a better job than the Bad Faith of talking about like the media network that they've kind of put out there.
Well, they interview one guy who was a pastor for Christian Nationalism, and then he kind of went away from it. But he was telling the back of it and how he felt bad for doing stuff.
That guy who actually worked in politics. Yeah, I forget what senator he worked for, but he was like an assistant or whatever you want to call it,
advisor or something like that.
Yeah, some shit like that. But it's funny, it's not just atheists and agnostics that these people are interviewing in this documentary.
It's everybody.
I would say there's more Christians that are involved in this documentary.
Mhm.
And there's even one lady that worked for the Trump administration. And she's like, these people are fucking crazy.
Yep.
And they got to be stopped. I mean, I'm telling you, we're so worried about terrorism across the world that we don't pay attention to the domestic terrorism that's actively breeding and has assimilated into the GOP and the Republican Party. It's scary, dude. And they hide behind, inflation and all these other topics. They don't give a shit about any of that.
Nope.
They're in there to get the Bible through and have the, it's just like in Oklahoma. They want to have your kids watch a video of the director of education or whatever praying every day.
Mhm.
Like,
And I forget what.
Come on.
I forget what state, because we're gonna
make Muslim kids watch a video of you praying.
Yeah.
Like, how unconstitutional is that to begin
They probably don't even want them to be there, in my opinion.
I'm glad that
they want them to be homeschooled or go to their own place.
Yep.
well, that's the thing. I
They
mean,
don't want to be here.
the Trump administration is going to do it too with the school choice, air quotes. It's not really about school choice. It's about the voucher system.
It is.
And we even found this out in Ohio, that the vouchers they give, like 75% go to people already enrolled in private schools. So they're giving more money to the people who already have money and they're already in those schools.
Yeah.
I think they said like 80% or 70% of those people didn't need the money.
Right.
Like, they're just getting it as a bonus.
Yeah. And it's a way of defunding public education.
Yeah.
And moving the money to these private institutions. And whichever documentary even showed Betsy DeVos, who was Trump's first Secretary of Education during his first administration. That's part of how her family got rich.
Yeah.
Was doing the school choice grift,
And they've openly said, we want to get rid of the Department of Education. We want more money to go to private schools. And I'm thinking, like, our tax dollars are meant to educate the public in general. If you choose not to go to the public school and you want a better education for your child, that's on you. You need to pay for that. Then that's, you're wanting an extra incentive to your child's education, then you need to pony up and pay that.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have to pay for your kid to go to a private school.
Or systemically, we should fix public education.
Yeah.
Really.
I don't think education should be ran by the states, because much like when we were in the Cold War and it was this big push, like, our education needs to be here, and it's here.
Mm.
We need to be up there with the Russians and the Germans, and we need a smarter nation to compete with the other nations of the world so we don't fall behind and we're not put at a security risk because we're fucking idiots. I mean, essentially. And I mean, I learned that in school, there was, did you not learn that in history class, that there was a big push for mathematics and science in the 60s and the 50s and 60s? But these people, they're on something, and they've like I said, they've hijacked the education system and they want to get rid of it. And they've slowly taken over the Republican GOP party. And that's one thing bad faith really illustrates to you. I mean, they go through the history, and like you mentioned before, they don't do a good job on the media coverage, but they do a phenomenal job of taking you through day one to current time.
Yeah. Well, this is where I was going to mention, I'm glad that both documentaries mentioned Paul Weyrich.
Yeah.
And he's like the guy, he co-founded the Heritage Foundation and all this stuff. And he was like one of Reagan's behind the scenes guys. And they've got the clip of him. It's a famous clip where he basically says, yes, we don't want more people to vote.
Yep.
The less people that vote, the better it is for the Republican Party. And that's always been like an astounding clip to me. I've seen that before, and I wasn't sure they were going to play it. So I'm glad they did.
I've seen that goofy dude a million times too, with his weird glasses.
Yeah. And that's what he was. It was all about, how do we get more money? How do we get more power? And what are we going to do with it?
Yep.
And that was back in the 70s. I mean, it's certainly a minority of people on that end, but they're very persistent, and they get in there. Just like the one woman who was Trump's personal pastor or whatever during his first administration, where she was out there speaking in tongues and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, she was crazy. I'm trying to look for a organizational chart, because in bad faith,
Yeah.
they do a great job of telling, like,
Mhm.
here's the founders, and then they spider web off all these different organizations, and they funnel billions of dollars into this to affect local, state, and federal elections.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned before, they really do a good job of explaining to you how that this has come to be. The Tea Party was really like the first big push,
Mhm.
and a black president was elected, and they didn't want that, but they got to push it on other issues. So they form these little I don't know what you would call it, but almost like militias in the political realm, and they infiltrate different levels of the Republican Party. Like your boy Rand Paul.
Right.
He was a big Tea Party person. Mitt Romney was a big Tea Party person, and that was kind of like the beginning. And
They rode that wave in. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Obama somehow wins both those elections, and these people, they don't go away. They don't say we've got a problem, we need to change. They stick with the message. They keep funneling the money in that they've been doing for years, and they find a guy that's so outrageous, says whatever he wants, and they know for a fact that Donald Trump's a terrible person. Like in the God and Country,
The same guy who was the pastor, he's like, we had like
he was like, he used to be a prime example in my
Of what
Sunday
not to be.
sermons
What not
of
to
what
be.
not to be. They literally told us to preach about Donald Trump. This is the person you don't want to be. And then he starts running for president, and
And he starts pandering to them.
yes,
Mhm.
he says, if you give me your support, I'll give you whatever you want. Like, he doesn't care about these people.
No.
He just wants the votes so he
Yeah.
can get in and help himself.
help himself,
Essentially.
stay out of prison, and
And that's
help
the
his people.
thing with a lot of these MAGA supporters. I think a large percentage of them do understand what's going on because they're Christians and they kind of follow whatever their preacher or their church is telling them to do. But I feel like a lot of the working folk that are just voting for him to kind of have a better living standard and to get back to what they had in the 90s,
right.
they don't realize that this is a big agenda.
Yeah.
And he's a pawn. I mean, he's scratching their back, so he can scratch their back,
Mhm.
or they can scratch his back. And you're going to see a lot of stuff in the next 4 years, I think. I mean, they've got it right where they want. They're going to have the House, the Senate, and I think some of these ideas are really radical, and it would take heaven and earth for them to move. But let's face it, these people, they're so convinced that God is on their side that they could probably move heaven and earth to get
Yeah.
it through.
God has chosen him. You really believe that bullshit?
If you're listening to this and you haven't stopped because you have a disagreement on what we're talking about here, but I mean, I've seen people I've went to school with that have just been brainwashed in the past 10 years.
It's amazing how people you thought you knew are racist and stupid. It's pretty astounding to me.
It's funny that people just can't see it, like that this is all a big push through racism and
Well, they don't know.
the Bible, and
They just want cheap gas and cheaper eggs.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. People don't understand the level of organization and the billions of dollars that's been funneled in to push this ideology on every American, and it's terrifying. Like, I like to consider myself a big history buff, I guess you could say. Like, it was my best subject in school.
Well, we had amazing teachers in history too.
We did. I don't know if they would agree with our politics nowadays or whatever, but
They planted the seed.
when you study American history in particular and our founding fathers, one thing was clear is that they were coming here to get away from taxation and the force of religion from the kings. And, this country was founded on not, catering to one specific religion.
Well, they understood that there are so many sects of religions.
Yeah.
That the infighting would be crazy. Like, I keep thinking of that scene from Civil War, where Jesse Plemons is like, well, what kind of American are you?
Yeah.
Well, what kind of Christian are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, are you a Catholic? Are Catholics really Christian? Are you a Protestant? Is a Protestant really a Christian?
Yeah. And then you have to watch that. And I just watched that too. And that's
it's a great movie.
It keeps you up at night when you watch all three of these back to back.
There's part of the mythology of this is that like the founding fathers were all Christians or something. And I think if you could bring them into the future right now, they would look at some of the religion that some of these people who claim that have, and they wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
Like Thomas Jefferson famously had his own Bible where he cut out like all the supernatural stuff. So it was like just the regular stuff in the words of Jesus. Like, I don't know if a Christian today would be like, you're cutting out the Bible.
Yeah.
You know? So they all, and that's sort of like a big thing. When we talk about the founding fathers, we talk about the founding fathers, like all of them had one view.
Yeah.
And if you read anything, you know that they all had different views and some of them couldn't stand each other. And they literally like agreed on the bare minimum to get the country going.
But I think one thing's for sure, they didn't want to found this country on Christian values.
No.
Not particularly.
Yes.
No.
If anything, I think they were trying to actively avoid founding the country on Christian values. And these people, they're so emotionally attached to their religion and their pastors and their churches that when the churches and the pastors tell them, no, this is all wrong, the church should be directing the government and ordering the government how to, govern the people, that they believe it without even going and doing their homework on history in general.
Yeah.
It's like everything they were taught in school just goes out with that emotional connection, and they are committed to the end, to the end of times. And that's what these people essentially want. They want the world to end so they can go to heaven.
Yeah.
And to me, that's terrifying.
Mhm.
And you look at Christian nationalism, and I think it's fair to say that it's probably set our country back a good 40 years, maybe 100 years. And when they're done in these next 4 years, who knows how much it'll set us back.
They want, if you're not white, they want to make you less of a human, basically.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be, whatever, but it's facts.
Well,
Read it.
I
Look
mean,
at it.
Listen, there's a handful of minorities that they have that are, public figures, and you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
As much as you want to say, and as much as there might be, a couple public figures that represent people of color, I don't think that it encapsulates their ideology of welcoming the rest of minorities into their social circle.
It's like, we want to hire this person because of color, because we don't want to make them, we're not too racist.
It's terrifying stuff. And people will, they can call me a liberal, a lefty, or whatever. Listen, I base my political views on the history that I was taught and that I've read about. And if anything, I would say I'm a democratic, socialist, FDR type Democrat. And
you mean the most popular president in the history of the United States?
The most popular president in the history. How many times was he elected?
4 times.
Yes, exactly.
So many times that they had to get an amendment so that wouldn't happen again.
So he couldn't keep fucking the rich people over.
Eat the rich.
But like, I grew up, my grandmother was a very, very staunch Republican. And I grew up watching C-SPAN with her during the afternoons. And, I loved the original George Bush, the first, when I was a little tiny kid. And so, I mean, I know what the Republican values and the parties are for. And here's the thing, if there wasn't crazy religious nut jobs and, pushing the Bible on everybody and wanting to govern with the Bible, I might vote for, conservatives more often. I mean, I voted conservative here and there, never for a presidential candidate, mainly local senators and stuff. But I just can't vote for them nowadays with, the connection to this Christian nationalism. And, the money's so spread out that they're actively involved in every candidate across the country. So,
it's amazing that these certain people are getting elected who straight outright screw people over, have been known to screw people over. They're like, oh, well, he's going to fix stuff. What?
Nah, I mean, the problem with modern day politics in general is the money.
Yeah.
The money needs to go out, and everything should just be, if you want to run, okay, you fill out the paperwork, and here's a federal fund that each candidate gets an equal amount to. And then they have their, debates via TV and streaming now. I mean, and then you vote on it. That's it. You can go look up their, what they stand for on their website, and then that's it. That's it. You go and vote. There shouldn't be, the billions of dollars that they sunk into Ohio to get rid of Sherrod Brown on the, the Senate. And you see the same 10 fucking commercials over and over again about Sherrod Brown killing babies.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. These people that stand for all these values of helping thy neighbor and making sure the poor are taken care of and fed and have, medical treatments and stuff like that. All these billions of dollars they could be spending on that. And there could be this utopia of a country and world here. But
that's not how you get power.
No, it's not. And that's another thing. It's about power. It's about power simply.
It's so well, not funny, but I keep thinking about there's a scene in the Book of Eli with Gary Oldman. He's like, what with that book? He's like, it's not just a book, it's a weapon.
Yeah.
If that ain't the God's honest truth.
It really is.
It really is. Yeah.
It's scary, dude. Okay. So I think we're done talking unless you guys got anything to say. No. I know this is a very strong subject for Mr. PBS. He loves it.
I do think people should check out both of those documentaries.
Oh yeah.
They're well worth a watch, especially if you're unfamiliar with this subject.
And they're both free to watch pretty much. So, I mean, if you don't have Peacock, you can get on Amazon Prime and watch it. If you don't have Prime, I believe they're both on Tubi as well. So
the God and Country, I think was on Freevee or something.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Freevee.
So.
Yeah. I mean, you can find a way to watch these for free. That's for sure.
Yes. Like I said, I think
it's all about being informed. That's all we want.
Some people will be very surprised, I think, by some of the issues and some of the backstory.
So if you watch it and you still haven't changed your mind, that's fine. Just be informed. That's all we ask.
I always just say Google is free.
Yeah. Well, you can't trust Google, but it's not run by God.
But Google's throttling us Christian values. So,
and they probably are. But the thing is, you got to know how to use Google.
And here's another show you should watch, just because it fits with this whole narrative: The Righteous Gemstones as well. If you want to laugh at it as well, you might as well go with that.
Well, you'll notice the God and Country documentary, they showed Falwell and some of the other people a lot. And they showed some pictures of Billy Graham, but they never talked about Billy Graham. And Billy Graham for decades was like America's pastor. And there's I've got a screenshot of a book he wrote. And in it, he had a meeting with somebody and he literally told them, do not get in bed with these politicians because they are using you.
Yeah.
And like that, I mean, that's a conservative Christian evangelical guy right there. And even he's saying like, these people want to use you to get into politics for power. Mm-hmm. And it's all about them, not about the religion.
Yeah.
As like I said, they pick and choose the Bible. They pick and choose the Constitution that best for them.
They literally cherry pick scriptures to, they cherry pick words to bring out what they want the scriptures to mean.
And that's what the religious people in these documentaries say. They're even the first ones to say it's not about the Bible. It's about picking what they want out of the Bible and using that.
Yep.
That's not us godless communists over here or whatever.
Yeah. You Marxists. Terrible people.
Yep.
Okay.
Check them out. And then come into the comments and call us a bunch of crazy names.
Yeah. We had
so we can laugh at you.
We had Mama PBS come into the comments last week.
Yep.
Apparently we mocked God. I didn't know we did, but
I like to feel God has a sense of humor.
Well, if God made man in his own image and we all have sense of humors and we, call each other fat fucks, and I think God would be right there laughing with us.
There's a great line in The Name of the Rose starring Sean Connery. He's a monk and he's got to go to a monastery and investigate a murder. And there's like the really strict, uptight monks. And he says, the Bible never said Jesus laughed. And Sean Connery says, the Bible never says he didn't, though.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to do What You Watching for our next segment. Rob, what you watching?
I started watching some documentaries that they came out. They had a new one, Cold Case with Who Killed John Benet Ramsey recently. I haven't really kept up with it, so I was just like, check that out.
Who did it, Rob? Who killed her?
I think the brother did.
Well, they ruled him out. He actually won a lawsuit.
Like, fuck that dude. He did not.
Yeah,
that dude.
It was out of. I think it was out of court.
How did he win a lawsuit? No, I mean,
it was. I forget somewhat news show or documentary. Like
now, I gotta watch this.
Yeah, he won, but I forget he sued for like $700 million.
I watched the documentary a couple of years ago, and I mean, they swayed it pretty convincingly towards somebody in the house. Obviously,
I think they said that the big problem is they didn't really shut down the crime scene, and they feel that like the DNA had a lot of issues with it. So
I'm under the impression that it's just such a mess they'll never really know.
No,
And like you say, it was probably somebody in the family,
it
and
has to be.
it's got to be somebody that had access to the house because there was no scenes of forced entry. You know,
There's not, what else I watch? It's called the Big Buy. It's another documentary. It's about how we buy more, keep buying more, and buying online.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's interesting.
They've got all those like former CEOs,
yes, like 15-year employee from Amazon and Adidas, and
you wouldn't realize how much the business is geared it towards getting you to spend money.
what?
That's shocking.
Yeah.
And I did start Teacup on Peacock.
It's a phenomenal show.
I tell you, it threw me for a loop because I'm like, I didn't really know what it was going to be about, but way it's going now, I had no idea it was going to be that. Let's put it that way.
To backtrack on some racks here, is it just me or did Yvonne Ostrowski's boobs get gigantic all of a sudden? They look huge in Teacup.
Talking to you, Rob. Don't be looking at me.
Yeah. Why is he looking at you?
No, I'm trying to think who it is. Oh, okay. No, I remember. It's
you don't know who Yvonne Ostrowski is? The blonde?
The blonde now, yeah. I can't. I've never seen her anything really.
She was in
Dexter.
Yeah, she was in Dexter.
Oh,
her boobs were not that big in Dexter.
Drunk a lot of milk.
And she was in the one show with the guy that plays in Shazam, where he worked at like a Best Buy type store, but he was a secret agent.
Oh, Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, I knew she looked familiar, but I couldn't remember. I remember. Well, I know the husband is Scott Speedman. I do know that.
But, yeah, Teacup's a phenomenal show.
And I'll probably start Hysteria after that too.
It's on the cock.
It's on the cock. I was like, the Peacock? You're like, yes.
The cock.
And my random bullshit Tubi movies too.
We know.
And I did watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Did you? I had Lauren message me like last week, and she was like, they made a second one of this and Rob hasn't watched it yet. I was like, give it time. He'll watch it.
It's still shit, but it's way better than the first one.
It got a little bit better.
Yeah, well, they have a lot more money and they actually look like kind of creatures, I would say. But I mean, it fits into the Pooh universe that they're creating. So
I don't watch those movies unless I have company, because I just don't want to waste my time by myself watching it.
Yeah,
but I gotta watch it with somebody to laugh. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's shitty, but there's some funny parts I was laughing.
Well, your face is shitty, but we deal with it.
Well,
we laugh at it too.
Well, why don't you laugh at my face, bitch?
Got a real face for Tubi.
All right, PBS, you're up.
Oh boy, let me throw up the letterbox here and see what I've been watching.
I had to check too some of my random bullshit ones.
That's what we want to know. I like how Rob just skipped over the random bullshit Tubi. We want to know the Tubi movies, Rob. That's what we want to know.
Okay, so I watched one called Bloodhook from 1986. Horrible. I did watch.
I need more, Rob. I need more. Why is it horrible? Tell me.
Well, it's from 86.
What is it? What is a movie called Bloodhook about? Is it about a bloody hook?
Well, it's about a fishing hook that some guy kills people by hooking them with the fishing line and pulls them in the water.
So this was the inspiration for I Know What You Did Last Summer, huh?
A shitty version of it.
You've almost sold me on this one, Rob. I want to know about the bloody fisherman fishing.
I did watch Trap, and Night Shyamalan's. I liked it.
Yeah, it's good, but it's silly.
I felt like it was missing something or a little bit too silly or something, but
there's no way that guy's getting out of that stadium.
No.
There's no way that somebody isn't actively watching all those cameras.
I think there was a one that you shared with like a list of people that they said what to watch, or funny horror movies. That girl we follow, something Chainsaw Girl or whatever.
Alexis Chainsaw.
Yeah, there we go. But I watched that Benny Loves You.
Is that the girl that's like, "What's up, fucks"?
Yeah.
I love her. She's so awesome, authentic, dude.
I watched the one she recommended, Benny Loves You, on Tubi. It's not good, but man, there's some funny ass parts in it. Like the ending scene is hilarious. Yeah, that's about it. So that's my shitty ones.
Okay, all right. Well, it's on you.
All right,
like it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
sorry.
Rob's trying to bury the lead. Like, we want to know, Rob. That's what we want to know. We don't want to hear about John Bonet. We want to hear about the fish hook.
It's not her brother. He won a lawsuit.
Well, I'm just saying that's what he stated in the
We're
documentary.
just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Let me run back through some October ones. Maybe I don't know if you guys watched The Apartment 7A, which is the prequel to Rosemary's Baby.
I still gotta watch that.
That one's okay. It's worth a watch. I kind of it's been a while since I've seen Rosemary's Baby, but about into the movie, I kind of saw where it was going. But it's worth a watch. I don't know if we talked about. I watched Maxine finally. I was into it. It wasn't great or anything, but it was okay.
Dude,
I gotta watch that.
there's
now.
something about those movies that I just can't get into. I mean, aside from X was really good.
Yeah.
You know what? I hate when they hit you over the head sometimes with like stuff that happens in the 80s. Because like I put this on somebody else's video. They were talking about it. Like they pan down and they show the title Maxine. It's also her license plate, and it's got a little registration sticker up in the corner that says 85. So you know the movie's set in 1985.
Mhm.
Then it's like bam, big number is 1985, and I kind of hate it anymore when movies overdo that stuff. Like, just let me figure out it's set in the 80s. It'll be pretty obvious when everybody's watching VHS.
I felt like Maxine was a little anticlimactic. Like it just didn't.
It was too much.
Yeah,
They had too many little kind of stories going on. They needed to cut somebody out somewhere, and yeah. So I'm with it. It was just okay. I gave it a 3 stars. Same with Trap. I gave it 3 stars. It's a fun watch. Nothing.
Yeah,
it's not terrible, but
it's not his best work.
Yeah.
It was just like, let's make a movie this year.
That's another one that a little too much, went a little too long. I don't know. Maybe they should have kept it all in the music stadium or something. It's basically M. Night's. Look at my niece or daughter who can sing, whichever one she was. Speaking of Ty West from Maxine, I watched The House of the Devil. I don't know if you guys ever seen that one.
No,
I've
heard about it.
That one's decent. It's kind of a slow burn. It's another one I think. I can't remember if it was supposed to be set in the 80s. I think it is. And let me see. I think who's in that one real quick. I know what's her name plays the friend. Greta Gerwig. She's like a friend of this girl who's going to go. She has to go babysit for Tom Noonan and Mary Wernov's like. I think they say it's her grandmother. So they got to come out to her house, kind of like out in the country, and babysit for one night. And they're like desperate, and there's like a full moon going on, and some crazy. You got the vibe that something crazy is kind of going on. It's kind of a slow burn movie, but it was. I'm glad I checked that one out.
Sounds like your type of movie.
I think I have it saved, but I think I've been wanting to watch that one too.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It's worth a watch there. I watched a Marty pick, Peeping Tom. I think Peeping Tom was on one of our lists that we did somewhere during spooky season.
I don't remember.
Can't remember exactly what it was, but
could not tell you what happened 2 months ago.
And it comes up a lot when you're talking about Psycho, because it came out the same year as Psycho, and it had kind of like a big impact on what the horror genre would become later. And it's a Michael Powell movie, so Scorsese always mentions Powell and Pressburger movies, so that was one to finally cross off my list. I got a nice criterion of. That one's definitely worth checking out if you can find it. I watched, can't remember if I mentioned, we watched Wrong Turn, finally. The original with Elijah Dushku. That was pretty good too.
It's a fun movie.
I love that movie. It's probably one of my favorite like 2000s horror movies.
Yeah. I watched, I can't remember if Monster Popcorn, he said the Carmichael Manor, the Hell House one was like his scariest movie. I watched that one. That one was pretty good too.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I know you guys like the first one. I don't know if you guys should definitely check that one out if you like the first one.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, I'll never watch it again.
Yeah. Oh, it's not like, game changing or anything, but it was as far as a found footage movie goes. So you definitely should check out Hell House Origins, Carmichael Manor. I watched You're Next for the first time.
Fantastic movie.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, that was really solid. I like that one quite a bit. I know at least one of you watched it. We don't think we talked about it all, but Caddo Lake.
Yeah, I watched that.
I have it saved. I'm actually gonna watch that tomorrow.
Well, you should do that. Mm-hmm. Starring what's his name?
Dylan O'Brien.
Yep. Oh, but he knew that one. He had that one out there.
That was really good, actually.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's really good.
I was surprised that I don't want to say too much about it.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where you can't say anything about it because it'll give away the movie.
I think if you're a movie fan, you'll kind of see where it's going before it gets there. But it's a decent ride. It's worth a watch. And I remember I said to you guys in the group that I've passed it up a bunch of times, and I finally just said I'm just going to watch it, and I'm glad I did. It was pretty good. Bound is another one I watched for the first time. You guys ever see Bound with the
Jesus,
Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon from the Wachowskis with Joey Pants?
No, I haven't seen that.
That sounds familiar. Is it like an older movie
from the 90s?
I think I remember seeing it long time ago. I can't recall, but I remember them too.
Yeah, you should check that one out. That one's Jennifer Tilly's with Joey Pants, and like Joey Pants is in the mob, but she's kind of in love with Gina Gershon, who's doing some work on an apartment next door. And they're in love, and they want to steal some money that Joey Pants has in the apartment. It's a real yeah, they are gay. And if you watch it, you can see sort of pieces of what the Matrix will become when the Wachowskis do that a couple years later. And then I got a box set from Severin recently. It's called All the Haunts Be Ours. It's a volume 2 of folk horror movies.
Okay.
And I've started going through that. And maybe I'll talk more about that at one point. There's just a couple movies in there I don't think anybody really would have seen outside of it, because they're all, the first ones I've watched are all kind of like older indie kind of movies, but they've been pretty good so far. So maybe we'll do something about that at some point. And I did have a day where I was kind of in the mood for some comfort watches, so I watched Under Siege 1 and 2.
Just to cook.
Just in case anybody thinks I got a little too pretentious on my list there.
I saw a meme with the stripper in the
Yeah.
like admiral's jacket or whatever, and it was like, if you don't know who this chick is, we can't be friends.
Yeah, or you don't understand.
You're too young.
Talk about your 90s rack. I
Yeah.
always forget her name.
Yeah.
You're a cook.
I haven't watched that in years, man. That used to be like one of my favorite movies.
I always love
Erica Eleniak or something like that.
I always loved Tommy Lee Jones as a villain. He's just so good as a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love him as a villain.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of fun stuff in there. Oh yeah, just briefly, I did start watching Cross on Prime.
How's that? I'm interested in that, but
It's pretty solid so far. I told Sleazy it's almost like a Black Reacher in a way.
oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
And I mean that more. And it's like the dad show kind of vibes almost, and it's a crime drama and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely worth checking out. And then I've been catching up with the Lincoln Lawyer season 3. I'm in the middle of that, so
We need to bust out the Shaw box set. And
volume 3 just showed up at my doorstep the other day.
my doorstep.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
really bad. I got all these box sets, and I just kind of like I need to start just watching them start to finish.
We need to do the Shaw Brother marathon.
I guess so. Okay, so the last time we were here recording, I had my niece and nephew.
Mhm.
Took them out to see the red one with The Rock and
Chris Evans and Simmons.
I don't know.
JK.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. It was just okay. It's a kids movie.
I mean, it looked like it's kind of like a fun kid.
The kids loved it. I just walked away with it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. The kids loved it.
Yeah.
I finally watched The Whale. And
Is that on Netflix?
no, Paramount.
Paramount. Okay,
Yeah.
I need to watch that as well.
Paramount Plus. And Brendan Fraser gives a great performance in that movie, but the movie is
Was he worthy of the award he won for it?
yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's kind of hard to shove pizza and dump all kinds. I mean, there's a part where he's gorge eating, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Right.
stop.
Fat bitch.
You know, it kills me that in the movie, he's friends with a nurse, and she kind of like is nursing him to death pretty much. She's like, dude, your blood, you have congestive heart failure. You need to go to the hospital. And he's like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm ready to die. But you know, his daughter kind of shows up, and he wants to be a part of his daughter's life. And he kind of realizes that, you know, he's been through a death with his partner, and he kind of realizes that there's more to life than just that. You know, he wants to be around for his daughter, but the way it ends, you're kind of like, okay, whatever. Then I checked out, I rewatched V for Vendetta, you know, after election season. Remember the 5th of November.
It's been on my rewatch list for a while. I got the comic book at home.
I love that movie. It's so good. Natalie Portman's good in it.
Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving as V. He was great. And then obviously, you know, everybody else that's in it. I mean, just a great cast all around. Checked out Hidden Figures, which was about the African-American ladies
really
that
good movie.
worked in the for NASA and the Apollo missions. That was really good.
Solid
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, all the chicks in it were really good, and you know, Kevin Costner's good and everything. Then of course I checked out Bad Faith, Strange Darling, which we'll talk about next. We'll end the show on that. I revisited Southland Tales. Our boy on TikTok,
Real Takes.
yeah, Real for Reals.
Oh, that Real for Real. Okay.
What's his
Kevin.
name? Is it Kevin?
Yeah.
Who's the other dude? with Real Takes.
I always forget his name because I don't think he says his name all the time.
But there's the white dude and then there's the black dude. They both have reels.
Yeah,
in there.
Kevin's real for real.
Okay, so it wasn't Kevin, it was the other guy. It was Real Takes, yeah. But you know, he spoke about this movie, you know, and he was just so adamant about it, you know, it being a 5-star movie. And I follow him on Letterboxd. I don't know if you have, but he is.
Some of them I do, some of them I don't.
He is very particular about his scoring system. He's a tough scorer. And so I was very impressed that he gave this 5 stars, and I watched it. It's a good movie, and it's well ahead of its time. And it's from the same guy that did Donnie Darko.
Yeah,
it's the follow-up.
Richard Kelly. Yeah,
it's the follow-up to Donnie Darko. But there's a lot going on in that movie, and they cram everything together, and there's so many stories mixing, and then it's kind of, you know, reminiscent to the Bible, and well, I mean, it sort of is, but a lot of people say you have to read the graphic novel before you watch the movie. And I think if you read the graphic novel and then you watch this, it's a 5-star movie. But I gave it 4.5 just because it's so busy, and I think it takes away from the movie.
And it's got what the Rock and Sean William Scott.
Yeah, and Justin Timberlake's in it.
See, I don't remember. I remember seeing it, but not actually watching the movie, but like the cover of it. But I just don't remember watching it.
I bought Arrow put out a Blu-ray a couple of years ago now, and I bought a copy, and it's kind of been sitting on my shelf. Every time I go to watch it, it's like it's over 2 hours or something.
Yeah. I mean,
and the Blu-ray has a longer cut as well. And every time I go to watch it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to put 2.5 hours into this today.
Right.
I saw that TikTok as well, and it made me want to move it to the top of my list. Like, I want to watch this soon.
You should watch it, because I want to hear your thoughts on it and see if we kind of agree on it. There's a part where who was the creepy guy in The Wedding Singer that was the other rival band?
Oh, John Lovitz.
John Lovitz. He plays a cop that this neoliberalist party hires to kind of go in and make sure this killing happens. And he shows up, and he's just so fucking like straight face, like assassin dickhead type. I mean, he is good. But then I got on this 2000s kick, and I started going and looking up cheap movie codes for I got The Butterfly Effect.
I just saved that. It's on like Netflix or something right now.
Yeah.
And I just saved that to my watch list because I really liked that one a lot. I don't know if I saw it right when it came out, but I had like a friend of a friend that had a DVD, and they lent it to me. And I remember I just kind of loved that thing.
You know, and I watched the theatrical cut, and I remember I bought it back in the day, and I bought the director's cut, and I watched that first. And the director's cut has the alternate ending, I believe.
There's like 4 different endings.
But the theatrical cut, the ending just kind of ruins it for me. I mean, it's still a great movie.
Is that the one where he just kind of walks away at the end?
Yeah, he's like some hot shot.
Yeah, they just kind of pass each other on the street.
Yeah. Like you can tell they're both successful. Like I like the ending where he goes back, because you know the mom mentions he was always the miracle baby, and you know, and spoiler alert, in the director's cut, he travels back to when he's in the womb and kills himself.
Yeah, strangles himself. I kind of like that one too. Like, it's kind of dark, but I'm like, yeah,
that's good.
Because I mean, he can't fix the situations he's in, so that's the only way
he's
out.
the problem.
Yeah. And then I watched The Departed after that.
Departed.
Yeah, 5-star movie, man. Still great. The ending's still, you know, as phenomenal as it was the first time I saw it.
Don't laugh. It ain't funny. It's a reality TV.
I don't remember her name either, but Film Diva on TikTok, I think, just rewatched that or something.
Yeah.
And I commented on there, like, I love that end when a certain character walks into a certain room and sees another character. He just goes, okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
He barely gets he
knows what's happening.
He knows what's going.
Like he barely gets that response out of his mouth before he gets capped, and you're like, yes. Okay. And then
Marty.
They were supposed to
Who's
make
watching Scorsese now?
They were supposed to make a sequel and a prequel for that too, a long time ago.
Then I checked out I watched all 3 episodes that are out of The Landman on
I gotta watch that.
Paramount Plus. Dude, you gotta watch it. Billy Bob Thornton's killing it in that.
I saw a clip and I'm like, wow, I wanted to watch
Wasn't it just us that we just had a conversation about Ali Larder a few episodes ago?
Probably somewhere during spooky season.
Yeah.
About
Ali Larder plays his ex-wife in this.
Okay.
And she hasn't missed a beat, dude.
Yeah.
She is,
She hasn't missed a beat.
and she shows her phenomenal rack off in this. There's a scene where she's drunk and she's trying to get with Billy Bob, and she just takes it off. And I'm like, no man could say
all
no
these
to that.
all these hot chicks trying to get with a weird
I
looking
know.
Billy Bob.
They love
Come
some
on.
Billy Bob.
You know, Billy Bob,
It's the aura.
he wears women's jeans.
Really?
Yeah. Women's Levi's. He was on Drew Barrymore, I guess, like a couple weeks ago.
There was some picture of him going around on TV shows lately where he's got like a hat on and like a
that's
scarf.
it.
And I'm like, do you,
He's
Billy?
got like a special hole so he can put his earrings in through it or something. It's weird. But
he's got that aura.
he can be as weird as he wants.
Hey.
He's so fucking cool.
Dang.
And then I started to watch the documentary Turning Point, The Bomb in the Cold War on Netflix.
I had that saved.
Fucking great, dude. I mean, if you're a history buff, you got to watch it. And, you know, it's very heavy on the Ukraine situation that's going on right now and Putin. And man, I totally forgot about Putin. You know, he stepped down as president there for a little bit and he appointed another dude and
Medvedev.
And then, you know, he kind of pushed that guy out and took back the election or whatever.
Well, they tried to do the prime minister thing, I think, for a little bit.
That's what he was.
He's like, it was still Putin, but Medvedev was like the prime minister or whatever. Like he was the real guy. And then, like you said, after a couple terms, he's kind of like, yeah, I'm back.
But it really does it does a good job from starting out with the atomic bomb. And then it goes into the 70s, the 80s, then the 90s. And then before you know it, you're in the war of Ukraine and Russia. And man, you get a healthy dose of not just the Cold War, but you get a nice dose of Ukrainian history along with this too. And listen, I don't think people really realize what Ukrainians have been through from the Soviet Union and Russia. I mean, Joseph Stalin created a famine. And he killed like 4 to 6 million Ukrainians. I mean, he's right there on the level of Hitler, and no one mentions anything about it.
Right.
It's like it's no big deal. He was allowed to do this.
I think it depends on where you get your info from.
Yeah. I mean, most people kind of recognize that. And, we've got friends that, we agree with on a lot of domestic things, but, the Russian policies and stuff, they're way over there with that. They're Putin I guess you could say Putin sympathizers or whatever, but man, it's just a very captivating show. And if you don't know a lot about history, I would highly recommend you watch it. And once again, these aren't lies. This is history being taught to you. Obviously documentaries can be a little bit
misleading,
tunnel vision, with certain things, but this one has a wide array because it goes so deep into the history and kind of gets you back into what's going on in today's world too. That, this has all slowly been building to this, war in Ukraine with Russia. And it's very informative. That's all I got to say.
Do your own research.
Yeah.
Google is still free.
Well, and then if you see this and you're like, we shouldn't send any money over to Ukraine. Did you really watch this? Is what I'm going to say to you. But I mean, at some point we can't let this country, Russia got away with this with, was it
Crimea?
Chesniak?
Crimea.
Is that what it was? Well, there's
when they annexed Crimea.
Well, they did it again with I'm Chechnya. Yeah. Sorry. They took like 20% of their land. So, I mean, this is relative. This is all under Putin's reign too. This isn't like USSR, but, man, and they also did a really good job of showing you the fall of the Soviet Union and how it was kind of just like, oh, we'll do this so I can get elected president of Russia. And then you guys just do whatever you want. So, I mean, it was really wild when the Soviet Union fell. But man, and then the times that people lived through, they were genuinely terrified of nuclear war. And I think we're kind of creeping back into that fear now with all the tension over there. But man,
well, you've always got talk from people. Certain people wonder, like, can we do a precise nuclear bomb? Like, we don't need to drop like a Hiroshima nuclear bomb. Can we do like a targeted detonation of a nuclear device?
No.
And when you start talking about that stuff, that's when it gets kind of scary. Because you think nobody's going to launch the big one because if they launch the big one, then everybody's going to have to launch.
And one thing about this documentary is they show you all the close calls that have happened. And I mean, I think JFK might be one of the best presidents for what he went through with the Cuba crisis. And they were really about to blow Cuba off the map. And they didn't realize there was 43,000 Russian troops on Cuba. And then there's other times where, they're integrating to new computer systems with satellites and stuff. And they get all these false warnings that missiles have been launched at the United States. And they have to make a call in a split second. Do I call the president or do I wait this out? And if I wait this out, we're all dead and we can't fire back. I mean, you just look at that, and some of these people, they are downright, I mean, they're fucking heroes. And it's not just Americans. There was a Russian guy that did this, and, he lost his job because he pointed out that the satellites weren't as, specific as they thought they were. And it was an error, so he kind of, when you mess up in the USSR and the Russia, you don't come back from it, naturally speaking. But yeah, phenomenal documentary. There's 9 episodes, and like I said, they take you through the decades, and before you know it, you're in the Ukraine war, and you just see like all the destruction that's happened, and it's heartbreaking. It really is. And we take a lot of our security for granted over here. I mean, you see what the Ukrainians have gone through. I mean, buildings being blown up by missiles and drone attacks, and families are just separated and they've lost loved ones. It's terrible. But definitely check that out if you got time. But okay, so I like Ukraine.
He's over there stone faced right now.
He's like, I'm sitting there talking and he's looking at me, and all he's hearing is roll.
I'm just trying to figure out how to deport these Christian nationalists.
He's thinking, when does that Popeye horror movie come out? What's the runtime on that looking like?
I wonder why Winnie the Pooh really killed all those people.
I feel bad. All those dead Ukrainians won't get to watch Blood and Honey Part 2.
Do Ukrainians watch Tubi?
No, they're trying to survive. They ain't watching shit.
No, well, it's funny. I watched a couple of interviews where they were interviewing Ukrainians on the street about, is Putin going to use the nuclear weapons? And those people, they fucking hate Russia and they hate Putin. And they're like, he's too much of a pussy to launch the nukes. I mean, really, they're like, he's too scared. He's too scared. He's not going to do it. I mean, really, if Putin launches nuclear weapons on Ukraine, it's not going to do anything but make his nation sick.
Yeah.
And we know that. That was another thing in that documentary. They showed the history of the test sites from like Los Alamos, and they did the testing. They had no idea what the radius was going to be. So you would think they would, say, hey, we're doing some testing here. We need to evacuate these towns. They didn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
There was a girls' dance group that was having like an outing or something at some lake or something. And they went outside and they thought it was snowing, and it's radioactive ash. And they're like, oh, it's burning me as it's hitting. All of them fucking died. One of them made it to 30. Just one made it to 30. Our government did that to them.
Yep.
I mean, they could have done this elsewhere, but the fact that they just had no regard to human life was just insane. It just goes to show you they truly didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Oh yeah. If you watch Oppenheimer and study that stuff at all, like they made the first like nuclear reactor core or something in like the football field or something like that. It was or just under the school or something.
When it happened, the government was like, well, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
So they were as lucky maybe as they were smart.
Yeah.
For mostly anyway.
All right. So we're going to move on to our last segment of the show, and we're going to talk about Strange Darling. This is it's available to stream for rent or purchase. I actually bought it on Fandango at home for $10. I mean, I was like, hey, I'm going to rent this for $5.99. I might as well just buy it, extra $4 and buy it and have it. I ended up watching this. It might be my favorite movie of the year. And
is that going to beat out Long Legs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I enjoy this way better than Long Legs. I mean, Long Legs was good, but it had a weird vibe to it. And I just thought this was so well done, and I loved everything about it. At first, I was a little, how do I say this? It jumps around a bit.
It's non-linear chapters.
Yeah. So like it starts out on like chapter 5. Then you go back to chapter 3. Then you're in chapter 4, and then it just bounces. And normally I love that like Tarantino, jumping around kind of style. But I was like, something just isn't right here. And then when the twist of the movie hit, I just appreciated everything that they put in front of me. And man, we talk about people that star in horror movies getting snubbed for awards. This chick, Willa Fitzgerald, that stars in, she's the main character. She deserves to be up for any fucking award she can be put up for this. That was probably one of the best performances of the year, I think.
Known as the lady.
Yeah. The lady. So here's the synopsis for it, but nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree. And you have no idea what's kind of going on. You just see this girl getting chased, and it's obviously they try to do a good job of getting you to judge the characters, so to speak. And this guy's driving a big ass truck, and you immediately think he's a dickhead because of the big truck. And he's got his like aviator shooting sunglasses on. And, the opening scene, he chases her down on the road, and then he stops and shoots and makes her crash. And from there, they're like running, back and forth, through the woods or whatever. But man, just from start to finish, I was just entranced in this movie. Like I was dialed in. And how many times have we said this? Like, if you can keep me off my phone, you have succeeded in making a good movie.
Right.
And it just kept my attention from the beginning to the end. I mean, mainly the first half, you're trying to figure out what's going on here. Is this guy, really is he the problem here? Or, what is going on? Are they playing a game, or is she this person? Like, you have no idea what's going on. But man, what an excellent, I just thought it was excellent storytelling. And I don't know how much I could say about it. It's not gory or anything like that, but man, what a good story. What a great way to tell a story. What do you think?
So
he's just staring at me.
I'm listening to you.
Let me throw it to you, Rob.
And I'm like, giving him the cue, like, come on, step in here, buddy.
So think, like Rob's the guy, like you try to give him the alley oop and he just watches the ball. Like,
oh, is that towards me? I'm sorry. So I was a little nervous too when it's 6 chapters and it's non-linear. So I was kind of like, well, I don't know how well I'm gonna like it, because I typically don't unless it's like Quentin Tarantino, because I just prefer that style. But I was very surprised that I liked it as much as I did. Kyle Gallner, I think he's pronounced. He's phenomenal. He's always phenomenal, whatever he's playing. That girl, Willa Fitzgerald, fantastic. Yeah, I was surprised with the twist to the movie.
The twist was good.
I think that's how twist works, Rob. You're supposed to be surprised.
Yeah, well,
and it's funny. I've talked to a couple people that I'm like, you've got to watch this. It's my favorite movie of the year. I want to hear your opinion. And Muzz was like, I saw the twist right from the beginning. I'm like, oh, come on.
I do. It's like that old IT Crowd episode where the guy tells him, who's like, now that you've told me there's a twist, I'm going to be thinking about the twist. It's going to just take me over. And I've heard it too. I've heard a lot of people. I still haven't. It's on my list, but I definitely heard people say it's hard to talk about without giving some of the twist away.
Yeah, and I mean, I've probably already said way too much, but there is like the first half of the movie. You're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, and you're trying to sort out the chaos that's being displayed in front of you.
Well, I thought it was going to go one way, and then it does the twist to it.
Yeah.
But so I was actually kind of surprised. I think it's like there's this, I forget what chapter, but you're like, oh, okay. So I don't know what's going to happen with this now.
Yeah. There's one chapter where you see like their date, and you're just like, these are two crazy fucking people. I mean, they're just out there. At first you're like, they're into some freaky stuff. And then you're like,
Snuffleupagus.
and then you're like, there's a scene and you're just like, oh, okay. so it really is this way. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh no, it's not that way.
That's exactly what I was
It's not that
thinking.
way. And I just thought it was great because they kept giving you a little bit and then taking it back.
Yeah.
And then when they reveal it, there's a couple of things where you're like, what is going on here? Why is this there?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, this is what's going on here.
Right.
But phenomenal movie. Like I said, it's probably my favorite of the year. And that's saying something because we've had Long Legs. We've had, what was the female bodybuilder?
Love Lies Bleeding.
Love Lies Bleeding. I think this just barely edges out Love Lies Bleeding. And I fucking loved Love Lies Bleeding. But
Neither of you have yet to watch Snack Shack.
Snack Shack.
Oh, that's on my list.
What is that?
I forget it.
It's the one about the
It's like in the 90s, is it?
yeah,
90s?
it's like set in the 90s. It's a coming of age tale about two boys who run the snack shack at the local swimming pool.
Oh,
It's on Amazon Prime. It's
you
good.
watched it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've always forget to watch that. It's on there.
But yeah, so obviously I'm partial to this movie. Like the ending I thought was so beautiful. Like the way they did it, and
I kind of laughed at the part of it, and then
they do like just the way the cinematography is at the end. Yes, I said cinematography. But yeah, I just thought the way they ended it, and you see what the character's going through, and then they also demonstrate it through the cinematography at the end. I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking cinema right here. Like that's the thought that's the thought I had when this movie was in.
This is cinema.
I was like, this is cinema. But I wish I would have went into the movies and seen this just to get that full.
I don't think it was out too long.
No,
I feel like it wasn't really pushed either.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. But yeah, if I'm highly recommending it, like as you can see, it's a 3.5 average on Letterboxd, so you're getting a above average movie.
Yeah, I give it 4. I
And
know you get 5, but
you may not like it on the level that I did because there was all these other things that really I experienced through the movie and with the sights, the sounds, and I don't know if other
the turns.
the twists, the turns. I was all over the place.
ups and downs.
But I think you'll enjoy it, and it may not be your favorite movie of the year like me, but I guarantee you'll enjoy it. So definitely a fun flick. And as you can see here, lots of this is what I'm talking about. Real Takes gave this a 2.
Really?
I remember hearing him talk about it. He was like, this is a complete pile of shit.
he's
Tough, man.
He's a picky man sometimes.
Yeah, he's tough. Look, Monster Popcorn gave it 4. This chick Katie, she's another TikToker. She gave it 3. Got a 3.5 here, a 4. There's another 4. Robzilla gave it 4. 3. Oh, Film Diva gave it 4. I do enjoy her her TikTok. She's very cool. Let's see here. Oh, this guy's another TikToker, but he gave it 4 too. But yeah, if anything, it's a really, really solid movie. And if you like horror and you like that constant adrenaline rush and the Tarantino style of back and forth, you're gonna love this movie. So that is my so to speak recommendation of the week for you.
They're gonna put that on the poster. Cinema.
All right, so that's all.
Rob's gonna be on the poster. It was better than Bloodhook.
Way better.
Was it way better than Bloodhook?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all we have for you for episode 197. You got to hear about Christian nationalism. You got to hear about what we're watching, and you got to hear about Strange Darling too. So.
Power racks of the 90s.
Power racks of the 90s, baby.
Power racks of the 90s and the most beautiful women of the 90s. That'll have to be our first segment, the most beautiful women of the 90s. All right, so that's all we have. Does anybody have anything to share?
We love you, Salma Hayek.
Yes, we love you, Selma Hayek.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. We also love you too, and Jenny McCarthy.
I don't know so much about Jenny McCarthy. She's anti-vax.
I don't care. She can be anti-vax whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Don't matter to me right now.
I'll wear a MAGA hat for an evening with Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
See where his priority is there.
Hey, I didn't just, got to earn the name, So as always, call to action, share the show with a friend. And from there, we'll get another person to listen. Make sure you're liking our videos and subscribing on YouTube and wherever you might listen to podcasts. We're on everything. And as always, keep it sleazy.
Thanks for listening to the Sleazy Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and remember, listen to Sleazy.